Hey guys, it's Josh. Today we're talking about detecting QEMU covert network tunnel exploits with Cato. From time to time, I like to look at security breaches or exploits that are happening in the cybersecurity world and say, how would Cato detect that? What could we do within the Cato platform to start to identify this type of threat? So let's get right into it. So I went to Bleeping Computer and I found this article about QEMU and how it uses covert network tunnels to exploit. So QEMU is an open source hypervisor that allows you to create different types of tunnels, which really allows the attackers, to be able to evade modern firewalls and IDS systems. So how do you detect that? How do you look for the telltale points of that? So they do things like building this Featherlight backdoor in this particular case that they talked about in this article, which is Angry IP Scanner for Network Scanner. So the attack might change, but you still got to do network enumeration on almost every attack. I got to understand what I have. So, hey, I'm going to do Angry IP Scanner. Say where is the AD server? Where are the goods inside the infrastructure? What can I have access to? Once you identify, a server, a client machine that might have the access that you want, you're going to use Memcats to be able to look for credential theft, to be able to look at hashes, to be able to pull passwords. And then you need to be able to get that out in a sophisticated way. And so that's where that networking tunneling is set up. So maybe you need to be able to get some kind of persistence. You need to be able to move laterally. And so that allows them to be able to use network tunnelings over obscure ports, using strange protocols, maybe over a machine that's already connected to the internet so they can be able to use 443 already, right? So there's lots of ways to be able to hide and anonymize inside of noisy traffic and in a noisy infrastructure. So in this case, very high level diagram using Kali. They have a pivot host internally, internal host, and then maybe they'll use that, the one that's connected to the internet, to be able to build this tunnel and hide in the anonymity of encrypted traffic on an infrastructure. And they talk about, hey, what are some of the ways that you can be able to detect this? Is that multi-level protection, having someone watching it 24/7. Cato's MDR approach is a good one there. Being able to look at the anomalies and those alerts that I'm going to show you and be able to address those. Luckily with Cato, we're able to block a lot of the pieces and parts of this along the way. So that gives you a fighting chance when going after some of these advanced threats. So let's get into what Cato would see inside the infrastructure. First and foremost, you can see here in our security threats dashboard, brute force attempts identified. We're going to see brute forces. We're going to see scanning the scanning and enumerating the environment. So when that Angry IP scanner is used, we're going to see it. So it's going to throw a bunch of TCP, sends. It's going to look at UDP ports. It's going to scan and be able to go inside that. Even a low and slow one, we're going to say this is strange. This is an anomalous behavior, and we're going to see the brute force if it's going after web servers or just enumerating like all the events. We're going to see that, and then we're going to start to identify that. The other piece is like once I'm inside the environment, and I want to be able to download files or move files, we're able to understand, and we offer decryption, on the fly, what files are being downloaded. In this case, we can see Memcats was downloaded. We can be able to use our next generation anti-malware to look for the heuristics and even polymorphic versions of Memcats to be able to detect that that's strange. This is happening. This is a tool that usually shouldn't be downloaded onto a Windows client or server. That means you've got some malicious problems on your hands if that's not one of your security or pen testers, because they're using that to be able to dump hashes and access passwords inside your Windows system. So there we've got two of the pieces. The other part, which is moving into some of our behavior detections, you can use the stories workbench. What I really like about this is it's looking at different exploits and events in your environment and providing a lot of really usable details. So let's go right into one of them, non-standard protocol activity. This is what QEMU talked about. We're tunneling protocol over non-standard ports in evasive ways. And so we're going to detect that using non-standard protocol activity. We can then go and say like, all right, here's when the story was created. Now we're pending analysis and we move to suspicious. You can use the story actions here to change whatever you want in here. So it's a QEMU threats, pending analysis, what are the actions we're taking. So your SOC analysts, your MDR analysts can be able to change this to be based on what they're investigating. So it's really powerful. And that updates this right here. So it allows you to see everything as it's happening with this. So I can see what's a suspicious activity associated with this non-standard protocol activity. What were the targets associated with that? Here's the virus score of those in the countries. So you can make quick determinations about what this is and where it's going and what are the pieces and parts of it. So let's go back and look at a couple other stories that may be associated with the advanced threat attacks. We talked about non-standard protocol. What about suspicious tool download? I downloaded Memcats. I've downloaded a tool into the environment. Because we have decryption, we're able to see inside those tunnels. We can see what's being downloaded and what's being used. So you can see here, suspicious tool, low criticality, but something that might be associated with this overall attack. I could change the verdict on this to be associated with the story of an investigation of QEMU if I wanted to. So here's that suspicious activity. Here are the virus total scores. You want to see where you're communicating with, and you can start to get an idea of what it is. Oh, it looks like Netcat. All right. So there's someone's downloading Netcat, and here's the actual refer and the HTTP. So we're able to see an actual JAW3 hash associated with those. So we're able to give you a lot of information right from the individual XDR story. So someone downloaded Netcat at the same time that maybe this particular advanced breach is occurring. So really useful information. You can use this to be able to block or create better network or security rules within your environment. And then finally, we got a number of them for exploitation and malware. I'll just click on one of them, right? You can see this. Maybe this is the actual malware. Maybe this was, Mimikatz or some advanced malware that's being injected to the system using the tunnels with QEMU. And so you can see what are the individual actions, the criticality, where are the pieces and parts, who are the players associated with this. So we're really trying to make a repeatable workflow for your SOC analysts, for your MDR partners to be able to analyze advanced threats like QEMU. Thanks, guys. I hope this is helpful.